Welcome back to the LEC ahead of SK versus Koi. Yesterday, Szygenda secured himself a huge lead versus Broken Blade in the top lane, and a lot of fans were wondering how he actually did it. So we went in and investigated it, so let's get right into it. We're halfway through laning phase right here. We're about 8 minutes into the laning phase, and as you can see right now, there's actually a slow push from Szygenda coming in towards the top side. You can clearly see that the minion wave is in his advantage right now. What we're looking at for G2 right now is that they're trying to punish it, and Szygenda, with the lack of vision on his side, is trying to get the crash down as soon as possible so he can have the wave bounce back to him. Unfortunately for him, that's not really how it's going to pay out. You can see that Broken Blade actually lands a good stun onto him in the beginning, and it does look a bit dire for Szygenda rather, but he does actually get out. And what you need to pay attention to here is the fact that Malrang now comes around. Because Malrang is coming around, G2 is not really put in a position where they can actually crash the wave. That means Szygenda can set up a freeze here when he comes back to the lane. So it is a bit dire in terms of how it could have played out from G2 in that regard. So they're actually going to do something completely different when we take a look at the map state right now. You can see we're coming out very broad here. Down on the bot side, Handsama stacking up a bot wave here. You can see the member of G2 as well. They're very bot lane centric, with Yike also coming around the corner. And what they're actually going to do in a bit with Broken Blade is that they're going to shift him into the mid lane. Because when you shift him into the mid lane, you get the manpower with the pressure. And with this pressure from the mid lane, you can move it down to the bot side, which is usually the win condition for G2. The problem with this, even though they get the kills, is that BB has missed so many minions up towards the top side of the map. Szygenda is now in a position where he can start stacking up the wave, and he's going to have an advantage over BB because he's got more gold, he's got more level. You can even see it right now. He's level 8, and it does become a bit difficult for Broken Blade. The problem for BB here is that he tries to go for a trade, and the hyper, I believe, gets proc from Szygenda, so he gets out of the range of the counter-strike, which means that, well, BB doesn't get the stun. With BB with no stun, it's so easy for Szygenda to take charge. He has the bigger minion wave, lands a super nice boomerang there again, but it's not really over for Szygenda. He's actually going to continue, and you can see it even here. He's actually going to throw an arrow right in front of BB, which will force him to go back, which means that you can get more auto attacks down. And as it comes through, he's just going to grab it on the recurve. BB once again tries to come in, but Szygenda is actually going to hop because it gives him more attack speed, lands 2 of the procs of the W, and now with a stacked wave coming in, look at what BB is missing here. There is so many minions, and he's forced to back away. You can look at the deficit on the experience right now. Szygenda is level 9, BB is level 7. BB does have that teleport, but so does Szygenda. And in this instance, it's in a situation where BB just wants to crash, he wants to get back, he doesn't need to do too much. But he tries to get fancy with it again. And that kind of becomes the bane of his existence. You can see now, auto attack does land on Broken Blade to proc the 3-hit W for Szygenda, which will give him the movement speed. And this movement speed will be crucial now for Szygenda, because with the movement speed, he's actually able once again to get out of the counter-strike stun. So BB is put in a huge disadvantage again, where Szygenda just takes charge of him, he has to hop, and he forces Broken Blade away again. So not only did he drop the minion wave where he was pushed out earlier, he drops another minion wave here again. Szygenda is now level 10, and he continues. He's still 2 levels ahead. The CS deficit is around 40 right now for Broken Blade, and Szygenda completely takes over this top side. All he needed was not even set up from his team. All he got was just Malrang holding 1 wave, BB going into the mid lane to set up the caps push into the bot lane, and with that, you can see the numbers right now. He's 2.5k gold ahead, and you know, the farm, 50 CS ahead. Absolutely unreal for Szygenda. So massive performance for Koi's top laner. We saw him with the Jace. We see him now with the Gnar again, and I'm gonna head over to the desk to see what they have to say about it.
Yeah, thank you, GB, and I think it shows what the reason Szygenda was picked up by Koi in the first place. Oh, saucy look from Ender. What is going on? Oh, he's really cute. Hello, Gnar.
Gnar's cute.
Yeah, Gnar's cute, as always. But yeah, with these statement games, I feel like we're starting to see what Szygenda was supposed to be joining Koi here.
Yeah, I could see with the numbers and the circles and the arrows, it all came together. I see.
I hate you so much.
All right. Focusing a bit more on the other side of the matchup, Irrelevant. I like the stability that we have from SK, especially the fact that they become a more versatile team, playing a bit more around Irrelevant than they used to.
Yeah, for sure. I think SK has really evolved throughout this spring split. I think in winter, they were very much about just playing through the bot side, but coming into spring, Exakick is not getting a lot of resources. You can even see it on your screen right here. He's not even part of a lot of their kills here in the early game, but much more up towards the top side of the map with Irrelevant.
And we had an argument over the fact that Irrelevant could be in the top 3 all-pros from Winter here, and maybe Ender, this is what they're building up right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think he made a fantastic case for himself in the Winter Split, but now showing that SK have multiple different ways of playing out the early game especially. This is the kind of flexibility that gives you a lot of faith, especially heading later into the season, right? I think Winter Split was the debut, the pilot, showing like Exakick can be the dude down in bot lane, while the Relevant was sort of more self-sufficient, but still very strong on the top side. This split, I think it's showing a very well-rounded version of SK with Irrelevant at the charge.
What is it going to come down to today? Because he didn't get much help against Photon yesterday, but when you look at the matchup and how Vitality works, maybe they wanted to invent somewhere else. But knowing what Szygenda can be like and the fact that he's very hit or miss, what can we hope when it comes to the focus matchup on the side of SKGB?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting because I would argue that it's not just Szygenda, it's Koi as a whole team that can be a bit of hit or miss in terms of what kind of Koi shows up. And it's kind of hard to get a read on them. I think that it'd be fine if you want to play bot side and just try and attack a bot lane of Koi that has been weaker. But if you're looking at a red side draft or anything like that, where, okay, we can come in with a counter pick for top side or whatever it might be, Jason too as well, you know, suddenly there's a chance where you can try and play for that top side of the map. So I think both teams can be flexible in terms of what they want to play for, and that's kind of what makes them so scary to play against.
I think specifically in regards to yesterday's match, I thought it was a little bit of a miss of that for them, trying to play so heavy around bot side. I think they lost a flash down bot lane early on and then jungle path there. But when they had counter pick and top side and go Gnar into the Jax and a Vi on the other side, that makes me really concerned about my top laner, especially if we're showing jungle on the bot side of the map. And I think that ended up giving Irrelevant a lot of problems on the top side of the map, not having the support and actually junglers showing on the opposite side. So I think there's some element of, depending on the top lane matchup, what you can do around the map has to really work out for you, because you're risking losing so much. The second, you know, your jungler shows bot side with that top side matchup, like, you're getting dove instantly.
And again, which version of Koi is going to show up today, GB? Because they showed up big yesterday against G2. Can they reciprocate this coming in today?
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're coming off momentum, and it feels like these are some of the players that's kind of riding off how well it's going for them at the moment. As you can see right now on your screen, Irrelevant also played that Gnar versus Jax yesterday. Unfortunately for him, he did not have the best setting for it. And then going into the Koi, well, they just had some better team fights as well. Once we came to the late game, I think Szygenda once again showed up massively, pretty much just soloing out the enemy AD carry in the fights, coming into the Mega Gnar afterwards and still being a team fight initiator. Yeah, I think regardless of how Koi, you know, in the BO1s this year have been a little bit hit or miss, mostly miss, I think you can always rely on them to be very skilled in the team fight phase later on into the game as well. So they were able to outplay G2 in a couple of these really big situations, some flank opportunities for Szygenda as well, some sweet Larssen play from Malrang. I don't know. I feel like I have a really hard time rating Koi throughout this split because we know how good they were, especially towards the end of winter, but they got off a little slower in week 1. Yeah, I think just to put an example of why they're hard to read, it's just like one game, bot lane will randomly die 2v2. And what more is there in that than, well, we played the 2v2 bad. And then other times, they'll actually show up. It's not like yesterday was that, because they got 3v versus 2 killed down in bot side on a play they initiated. But it's the fact that, what do you say, right? It's like, it's so hard to really coordinate when they're doing something right and when they're doing something bad, because a lot of it just comes down to the fundamentals of how they played the matchup of the lane.
And we'll see what side of the coin we get today in this game, and let's send it over to Drakos and birthday boy, Caedrel. Take it away.
XTD's in chat!
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Trevor did. Happy birthday, dear Caedrel, and also DOS.
And DOS.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Berlin.
Thank you.
Absolutely wonderful. I'm
Great
Drakos. This is my good friend Caedrel. It is his birthday today. He is 27. Like many of you, he is now contemplating how much closer he is to 30 and wondering if that's when life ends. It doesn't. It keeps going.
I don't need to say anything. You've just summed up.
Yeah, there it is.
No, but it's also DOS's birthday, so shout out to DOS as well. And there's also a person in the crowd whose birthday today as well. Just going to give us a wave.
Shout out to you. G2 fan. Maybe we'll find the win later tonight.
But yeah, SK versus Koi. Big game. These next 2 games are huge games. You've got this game. We've got the G2 versus Vitality as well. We're in for 2 screamers. What is that smirk?
Well, because we were talking about how we needed to get in the zone. Because normally we come in at game 3, and game 3 is always a bit loosey-goosey. Game 4, game 5, very serious.
Yeah, game 3
and then
was
we sang
loosey.
Happy Birthday, and I'm right back to loosey-goosey. So I'm trying to find the headspace, and luckily the dramatic music is here to back me up. Let's get into picks and bans. SK Gaming versus Koi. All right, here we go. At the end of the day, of course, 2 teams fighting near the top of the standings. Koi currently at 2-2. They've been struggling in the best of ones. We look at their winter as well as their spring performance. But after yesterday's game, feels like newfound excitement, newfound joy for Koi. Liking the TF for Larssen. Wondering if we're going to see it here up against SK Gaming.
Could definitely see something similar on red side. I think roaming mids are always nice if you can unlock your mid laner, Talia, Rise. Anything along those lines, Twisted Fate just takes over the map. So we'll see if Koi opt into that on red side, but Ban's coming in, targeting bot side already. See if Caitlyn or Lucian get touched upon.
Ultimately, not surprised to see a lot of bot lane focus coming through. As you said, Varus, Zeri, see if the other ones want to get banned away. When you look at Comp and Trymbi, I think they were 2 players who struggled a lot at the start of last season, but have been stepping up as you've just been progressing through the year, through winter and into spring. Exakick and Kai'Sa have been a consistent force to be reckoned with for the side of SK Gaming, so wouldn't be surprised to see kind of standard bot lane draft priorities we see so frequently across the league, but doubly valuable when you have 2 teams that are so reliant on their bot lane for success.
Xayah, Rakan, it's just something I want to keep my eye on here, see if it's a first pick for either sides, because with Caitlyn ban, I think Rakan first pick could work really, really well. See if they want to play that into Lucian Nami of Comp and Trymbi, which I think they won't hesitate to pick up. Trymbi's most played is the Nami. Ashe is up as well, which I think is a good pick for Trymbi, but I just haven't seen that much Ashe success ever since the changes.
Well, and yesterday we saw Trymbi pick the Rakan into the Ashe, and of course it was AD carry Ashe for Hansama, but I really like Trymbi getting back to the Rakan, so I don't mind seeing Koi on either side of that matchup, and as good as they are at Lucian Nami, I think Rakan is broken in Europe.
It is.
It's... When you have reliable team fighting tools in Europe, I just feel like your odds to win go up by 10 to 15% just in pick ban phase.
Yeah, normally the response to things like the Xayah Rakan is always Kai'Sa Nautilus. Anything Nautilus works really, really well. The question I have on my mind is, do you go Xayah or do you go Rakan? If you take away Rakan, they take Xayah and vice versa. But it seems that taking Xayah away for SK is the priority. Of course, you can use your ult to disengage from the Rakan ult, so it does work in an interaction quite nicely there.
Yep.
You don't want to be on the opposite end of that, but with the Vi ban and the Sejuani ban, Lee Sin just rising up in priority, going to be picked up for Malrang, one of the strongest junglers on the patch. I think already Koi have got a great jungle support. They need to be matched here by SK. See what Markoon wants to opt into. Elise is open if you want to play some kind of like a Xayah, Elise, Nautilus dive comp. I'd be a bit worried, depending on the direction that Koi go in. Thresh is going to work really well for picks, but you need to work around the Thresh. I feel like if you play some kind of hard engage with Thresh, he struggles to keep up sometimes. That's why pick is just so important in doubling down.
He's a champion that if you start to snowball, he can take over a game pretty handedly, throwing hooks from Fog of War, or if you have secondary or primary forms of CC where he can follow up, he can do so well. On his own, an extra summoner spell for a Xayah or whatever squishy champions you have on your team, as well as the Flay to disrupt a Lee Sin, to disrupt a Rakan, but overall a champion that can be very feast or famine.
Wukong or Elise, I think, is probably the discussion here for SK. Can they really afford to drop jungle? If you do, you're looking at something like Kindred or Gragas. Yeah, Wukong's going to be the decision, so not going to go for the double pick. They're going to go for a little bit of team fight, sprinkled on top. Now Koi have many options for AD. They can even drop AD carry here.
I would actually be curious to see if they're willing to drop AD and prioritize instead a blind pick.
Yeah, there's so many. They can play a Philios. Yeah, he's cycling through it all. I think Koi know that they can pick any AD carry they want. The question is, do you prioritize one of them? Something like Kai'Sa, something like a Philios, something like Sivir perhaps, depending on the direction you want to go in for your entire draft. But yeah, Kai'Sa works really well on the dive.
Ooh, Callista, a bit more of an aggressive choice. Debating what the option is going to be is the Kai'Sa. I like this. Obviously, Kai'Sa, a lot of repositioning tools in a fight makes it a lot easier to get around champions like the Wukong if they are able to find a flank. That said, some of the shorter range can be a bit difficult in the early game.
So now bans coming in. I'm looking at things like Jace, looking at things like Gragas perhaps, Gnar, Cassante, Renekton, blind picks for SK on the top side of the map. Not sure if
the Sion's going to hit the bench for sure.
The Sion, yeah. I feel like Rakan is, you talked about Rakan being like a hack in Europe. I also think Sion is. It's just such an easy champ to just leave on its own.
And you talk about it being a hack, but SK Gaming are the original hackers. They're the ones that were busting out to Sion, willing to play tanks even when it was a lot of the, Cassante on the top side in the winter season. Now debating what the option is going to be. Maybe they're not too concerned about it. I like front to back in Europe. I generally think it's super safe, but we saw from Koi yesterday, they can bust out these TF compositions, split the map up, build and snowball these leads, and I think that's something that has to be respected because Sion is very big impact in a team fight, but not very big impact in a side lane.
I don't know how much I'll like Koi's comp if they actually commit to full hard engage against Xayah Thresh. I feel like they have a lot of disengage already, so Koi might need to work on their front to back a little bit. A mage or something like Taliyah for Larssen, Ahri, Syndra, something like that would work really nicely in making sure that they do have some kind of DPS next to this Kai'Sa. Last man coming in here, Silas Jack is taken off the board. TF is the removal from SK. We saw Larssen yesterday pop off against G2 with that champion. LeBlanc is going to be actually the takeaway. I wonder if SK are looking at something like Akali.
Sertuss, obviously very comfortable Akali player. I think is the champion that naturally comes to mind when you think of him as a player. Koi now debating what the options are going to be here. GP good space. I mean, they're hovering through a lot of stuff. I'm not sure where they're going to end up. VLICKR would be bold. Can do a lot to interrupt the Lantern if you get first set up on a play.
Yeah, looks like it's just going to be a blind top just to give counter to Larssen. No real surprise. Gnar, safe and easy. Camille would do really well into the Gnar. Something like Kennen we haven't seen just yet, but I think, oh yeah, we're on 13.4, aren't we? So the Kennen buffs haven't actually come in. I've been watching too much SK.
No, you're so cursed. Yeah, you're not allowed to read patch notes when you're a caster until it's live.
Everything's
you
just
mismatched up.
Yeah. Exakick's looking over at Szygenda, taunting him. I don't know if you could get the cameras on them. They're pointing at the Gwen, saying that we're going to pick it. But there's the Akali. I think there's no surprise. Actually, it's a Sion. It's just going to be that you touched on it. Sion for irrelevant. SK just going to put that in top side. I think they have a really standard front to back here. Wouldn't be surprised with some kind of mage, Taliyah, anything can fit into their comp whatsoever. There's no real force of any champ that needs to go in, any champ that needs to peel back. I think their comp's just so well rounded that Sertuss can play an assassin like Akali, can play a mage like Victor.
I like the Azir here. Azir in general, I feel like benefits a lot from having this beefy front line. Xayah does as well, but she has her own self-peeling tools. Not that Azir doesn't have a dash, but can be very strong. I think the biggest thing is going to be mid-game. If they can get through mid-game unscathed on the side of SK Gaming, if they can find early game leads even, it's going to be so easy to play this out. But you look at the amount of setup between the Rakan, the Lee Sin, potentially a Syndra now to follow as well. Koi can absolutely dominate early game.
No, please, no. No Azir Corky. No Azir Corky. Lissandra.
Yes, I love this champion, and it's not just because I play too many A-ramps. Actually, such a fantastic engage tool. Xayah, even if she goes up in the air, she's coming back down in that slow field from the Lissandra ult. It can make team fights so difficult, so tricky. The passive resets in fights can snowball fights if you start to win. But this is a pick we have not seen a lot of. So while on paper I can see how it would work, it's a bit volatile.
So Lissandra is a champion that works really well with Lee Sin specifically in mid 2v2s. Normally you see Lee Sin with Syndra or Ahri, anything like TF that can set him up. So Lissandra works really well in this 2v2. The only problem is Lissandra's lane phase into Azir is horrific. One of the hardest. Lissandra's biggest 3 counters in lane are Azir, Cassio, Syndra. Mages that just outrange her. Even Victor is quite tough. So the lane phase for Larssen will be hard, so they need to make sure they can get Sertuss's flash early so he can't play that aggressive on this Azir. But Lissandra, Lee Sin level 6, moving to sides, 2v2 mid jungle. It's in their hands the first 10-15 minutes of the game here. Koi, it's just a question of whether they can run away with it. SK are very happy sitting back and just watching them make mistakes, watching them try to win the game themselves, and if they don't, they will outscale them.
Now are they ready for the spice? Of course, Koi busting out the first Lissandra of the year here in the LEC. See what it can do. See what they can bring to bear. Maybe get out of some of that laning phase, but I'm ready for mid jungle. We said it was going to be about bot lane, but when you see Lee Sin, Lissandra locked in, you highlighted it already, Caedrel. Lee Sin doesn't have to hit a skill shot because Lissandra just holds them still, and then Lee Sin comes in and just gives them the old roundhouse.
Just punching
the air, but you need to kick. It's time! Koi! SK Gaming! Let's get into it. I have 3 quick shout-outs, assuming we don't have a level 1. One shout to the person in the audience with pick matching bird skins, please. Yes, thank you. Very common sense, Xayah, Rakan. It's a little thing, but they're literally duo champions. In general, you should always try to match skins with your bot lane partner, though. I will say that. Holding.
Is Trymbi going to W over?
I think this would be Psycho. He's not going to do it. Okay, second shout-out. Caedrel got birthday. Happy birthday. Got to give our credit to happy birthday to Doss. There he is.
Let's get a round of applause for
Doss. We can't just make it about Caedrel. Doss is here. If you're just getting to know this guy, has been stomping with Exakick on the bottom side. Give him that birthday love. Big reason why SK has been so successful.
Oh, that's a pause. Looks like we got a... I can see Exakick. Yeah, you can see him on the camera.
He got so excited about the birthday celebration that he, just needed a break. He needed to chill. Needed to refocus on the game. We had the same problem.
Yeah, I wonder if he's got some kind of peripheral issue. It's definitely SK who are the ones who have paused. Nothing's happened on the level 1 just yet. We saw Trymbi hovering. Maybe he's going to put a ward down, but yeah, nothing's happened. But did you have a third shout-out, or do you want to wait for the game to start?
Wait, I need I have a graphic.
Oh, you have a graphic for it?
I have a graphic.
Okay, we'll wait for your...
It's a special shout-out.
Special shout-out?
It's a special shout-out.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, we'll get that one then. But yeah, SK versus Koi, important game, best of ones. I think week 2 is the week where it's the least pressure, because week 1 you come in, all eyes are on you. New roster, new seat split, let's see what you got.
You're kind of trying to get momentum.
Yeah, week 3, everything's on fire. You need best of 1 wins. Everyone's stressed out. You're facing elimination. Week 2, you're chilling. You've got 6 games left. You've got 5 games left.
And this split, we do have a break after the best of 1 before we go into the group stage, the best of 3 portion of our season. So we'll see how teams can adapt and change going in there. But I think for both these teams who are expected to make it to best of 3 at this point, it's a lot about just like finding your footing, figuring out the best way to play as a team, because you cannot draw concrete conclusions from best of 1s. We cannot say definitively what like the final form of a team is.
What do you mean? G2 are frauds. They're 2-2. It's over for them. We're going to lose MSI now. Vitality is the best team in the world.
Never mind, I take it back. You can, if your name is Caedrel.
4 games in, I'm already making these conclusions, buddy.
I think the thing is that you can start to see the potential of players, you can start to see the ceilings, and you can start to get a sense of what the best version of a team looks like, or the best version of a Sion level 1 play looks like, as we've seen a lot of that recently too. So it's really just about, solidifying expectations for both these sides. This is the pick order, this is the draft that we had, and I think for SK, they're new at the top of the table. This is a team that we didn't expect to be up here. They have certainly earned their place, and now they're going toe-to-toe against Koi, who, former champions. In winter, we were ready to see them potentially continue that dominance.
A fish?
Yes. What?
You're just making lists about facts about Koi.
They're a fish.
Yep.
They're in ponds.
Yep.
They can get really old.
Really?
Yeah, I think they get really old.
How do you know that?
You know what? I'm going to stop potentially just spitting nonsense on the desk. I think that's dangerous, even if it's Koi facts. I think spreading information, misinformation is a bad habit.
Where are we saying? Second place?
Yeah, second place. And now they kind of drop back into what I would call the Koi comfort zone. And that's not a positive thing to say about a team, is the comfort zone, because their comfort zone is like top 3, which for any other team would be great. But for Koi, it's like you've won, and you've been top 3, top 4 for so many splits now that it's like, we need to see more. Yes, it is a new roster. Yes, like we're seeing you step up in regular season, and that's positive. But I think if you're a Koi fan, you're like, come on, top 2 minimum. You need to be in those finals.
They do. They struggle in the best of 1s in winter. We'll see if they can bounce back in spring. But I have a question for you.
Yes.
How long do you think Koi fish live for, on average?
Wait, okay, now I have to find out if I'm actually just spitting nonsense. I'm going to believe myself. I'm going to say like 100 years.
200 years. A Koi fish can live for.
Wow.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? Over 200 years?
Yeah.
Apparently they're extremely intellectual as well.
That's cool.
Koi facts.
Can you imagine, like, your children's children could see the same Koi in a pond?
Your children's children's children. You're going through 4 or 5 generations there.
That's crazy.
We have got...
Like, we can go through 10 Larssen careers in the lifespan of a... That's actually 20 Larssen careers.
20 Larssen careers.
Yeah, in the lifespan of a Koi.
FLICKR's 10-year anniversary. I think it was today or yesterday. So we could go through 20 FLICKR careers as a Koi fish.
His anniversary is right next to your birthday. That's crazy.
I think it's because the LCK day was today and it's not on his actual anniversary, which is in a couple of days. So they celebrated it today. We have got an update. It's some audio issues on the SK side. League officials are investigating. I think it's Exakick, maybe something wrong with the headphones or something.
Yeah, we sang Happy Birthday too loud and
we broke the mics.
The headsets
too high on the volume. So hopefully it gets that resolved. But there's the drafts on the lower third of your screen. We've run through them, but we'll just touch on it.
How long before we're allowed to play rock, paper, scissors with the crowd? Trevor seems to just decide what he does up here, and I don't know if we have, we don't have the same tenure, so I don't know at what point we just get to lose it completely.
Do you think we should just hold, a tournament at this point?
The problem is, we got the delay now that we're in game, so it feels, I can't, take Trymbi right now, for example, or DOS the birthday boy and have a birthday boy
Apparently,
podcast.
We're getting back into game soon, though.
Oh.
So we're almost there.
Okay.
So we don't have to make a rock...
So we don't need to do a birthday boy podcast right now.
Don't need to do a birthday boy podcast. Don't need to do a rock, paper, scissors tournament, as much as I would love that, because we've already got 1 competitor. If we get 4 or 5 more, we can make a bracket.
We could make a bracket.
But there we are.
Here we
into
go!
the game.
League of Legends. Some would say a worse game than rock, paper, scissors. Those people aren't my friends, though.
I'm glad you put that out there.
All right, wait.
Base rock, paper, scissors, enjoy.
I know you guys want to talk about League of Legends, but we made this graphic, and we're going to run it. Bam! Caedrel birthday fun facts. Trevor got the happy birthday song. So this is my contribution for your birthday. Once Cancel Zone Malzahar pioneered Urgot jungle. Could beat FLICKR in a 1v1. Maybe.
Who made this?
Me.
What? You've sang
And
happy birthday now.
And Marcus.
And now you've made a graphic about it.
Yeah.
What is this?
Don't worry, we'll go back
I
to League
think
of Legends after this.
The last one is probably the most accurate, you know?
The last one is the most accurate?
It's the most accurate, yeah. I cannot confirm or deny the first two, whether they happened or not. But the third one, I can tell you, would likely happen. All right.
Why now? Why the camera on us now? Anyway.
We'll never find out. That's the fun part.
All right. Deep breath, everybody.
Okay, enough.
Now becomes the portion
now
where
it's
we
game
talk
time.
about League of Legends. For some
Yep.
of you, your favorite part. For some of you, your least favorite. But this is the League of Legends portion as we see some trading on the bottom side. Quick flay and poke back and forth. And right now, again, we highlighted it. Lissandra, Larssen together as a duo, very strong. But Lissandra's early laning phase can suffer a lot against the Azir. It's kind of hard to trade, hard to poke the Azir in the same way that he can poke you.
Yeah, definitely. So getting the push early here. Can see a lot of trading on the bot side. DOS actually landing the flay, and Irrelevant got a really nice level 1 trade on Szygenda. He's playing the Comet on Sion. I think this is a 369 classic from last year or the year before, where you play into Gnar, you just take Comet, you can proc it with E, you can proc it with Q, helps him poke out the Gnar in the lane phase to actually start pushing in these waves. Both junglers started on the red side, so they're kind of mismatching one another right now in terms of crabs. It looks like they'll trade evenly, but there's a lot of trading going on in bot. Longsword, 3 potions for Exakick, 2 already burned through. Corrupting pot for Larssen, who it's really hard for Lissandra to get the push in this lane. Couple more points in Q, and when he can get that minion dematerializer out, then he can start pushing back a little bit. But again, every time you walk up to Q the wave, you're just getting chunked out by the Azir. So we'll see how they play around it, but Malrang's already here. This is what we need to focus on. They need to get the Azir flash early to make Larssen's life a little bit easier. If they trade flashes here, Lissandra for Azir, that's actually worth it.
Okay, there you go. Malrang revealing himself a little bit awkward there, but obviously if that route connects, it's a pretty easy setup, a pretty easy follow-up. This is the power of this duo. Again, the rinse and repeat now coming out. No shifting sands available this time, so just poking Sertuss out of lane. And as you highlighted, this is a big deal because, yes, more levels would be nice for Lissandra's wave clear, but if you can just poke the Azir out early with some of this aggressive ganking, then you can take control of the wave for a small period of time.
Nice little 3-lane view. You can see what's going on. Top and bot pushing for SK. Koi have the mid push because of the gank. This really helps the Lissandra get an easy base. Larssen can try and take a base here and save TP, which will be really, really crucial in terms of getting chunked out. Azir gets more points in queue, becomes more and more difficult to trade back, and Markoon, sorry, just getting a little bit of information onto Malrang. Saw him in mid, knew that his next camp will be blue, puts a ward down, gets a little bit of vision for his team, and will go back to his full clear. Larssen actually using the TP, wants to keep up a little bit of pressure, see if there's any side lanes that he can impact once he gets towards that level 6.
Yep. Taking his time. Trymbi speaking
Did you
and
hear him as well?
enunciating very clearly on
I could
stage.
hear him through the headsets.
Said he wants to perma push now. Wow, this is crazy. This is just, I have instant comm access.
We're just leaking all the comms out.
Leak it all.
Talking about
He says, Caedrel's a very good birthday boy.
Oh, great.
He looks so happy up there. So does DOS.
we'll see if
He
DOS
didn't actually say that.
see,
But
if, see if DOS can get a win. But yeah, Trymbi was saying something about the push. They want a perma push. But Malrang's taking a base. Trymbi's actually trying to pull the wave, but the cannon got blocked there. You could see in the top right, the 2 range creeps block the cannon, so they're going to have to blow this next wave out so they can match the base. Exakick might have to stay, because otherwise he'll lose a lot. Wow, he's going to take the base, so Koi will be happy with that.
DOS now.
He's going to have to stay and freeze it. Yeah, a bit awkward for SK's bot lane here, but not the end of the world.
Can stay in free or try to pull the wave. Might get a little bit of poke down, but he should be fine.
Yeah, Koi doesn't really mind. Looks like DOS is going to try and hold the range, but they're going to have to stay and stop him. Little minute things in bot lane. Want to make sure you have the small advantages. And he manages to pull it out. So it will eventually bounce this wave, but it means that Exakick won't lose. Ooh, he stopped his base as well.
Excellent cancel there.
That's really nice, actually, for the bot lane of SK. That means that they're actually up in tempo. Markoon's right behind Szygenda, really low HP. They could probably just get an easy kill here, depending on Szygenda's position. He needs to run down the river. Luckily for him, Malrang is there.
Already has the slow. Will just walk away. Good patience, good heads-up play from Szygenda, and Malrang, of course, in the right area to cover there.
Yeah.
Could have been disastrous, could have at least gotten a flash out, but pretty much just going to walk away.
Level 6 Lissandra. Sertuss needs to get out of here. There's no way he can say, ooh, Malrang spotted him. Now he knows that he has to base. Unless he calls Markoon to cover him. Of course, the chains you see from the Lissandra.
I love this is the mind game. You don't know if the Larssen is in the area. You have to wait for Wukong to approach before you can even step up to start CSing. So just by bringing Larssen mid, they zone Sertuss off for, I think, about 1 creep. Luckily, the cannon is there, so I don't think he loses much of anything.
Yeah, you can see Trymbi as well is hovering, just in case a 2v2 kicked off. Dropping bot lane, he knows that mid lane is just so important now, and I think what they do here, Koi, is they unlock mid and then Larssen unlocks Koi, right? You make sure that Lissandra has a good time, make sure she can get to the lane phase, and then she'll help you on the rest of the map. So we'll see if that buddy system works out. They just need to get comp a base off. Sertuss is going to TP back to lane. Irrelevant's done the exact same thing. Very even so far. Dragon's still up, Herald's up in around 1 minute and 40 seconds, which will slowly explode the game open, because I feel like the level 6 is on Koi. is really where they want to start pushing the advantage. Whereas for SK, again, they just want to keep them at arm's length.
Yeah, and I think this composition is just insane for mid-game picks. Between Rakan, Lissandra, and Larssen, and the ability for Kai'Sa to follow up with her ultimate on anyone, regardless of the range, essentially, really easy potential setup. And DOS is a guy that I think we have to keep our eyes on, because while Exakick has a lot of tools to protect himself, DOS isn't an aftershock Thresh. He's glacial, he's very squishy this early in the game, so his positioning from DOS could be lethal. That said, SK push on the bottom side, a little bit of push in mid lane. They're going to use this opportunity, use this pressure to take down Infernal Drake.
Good. Yeah, very good play by them. There's a ward on it. Koi know that they can't fight it. Malrang's just going to take a base, gets over to the Gromp, needs one more camp for level 6. Trymbi's just spotting. You know, Markoon doesn't have smite, so they were a little bit hesitant there, SK, but not much of a response on the map right now for Koi.
No.
You know, if you invest your Lee Sin to go topside to put the Sion behind, it doesn't really net you anything in the longevity of the game. Nice side set by Trymbi. Will stop DOS's base, who's yet to get that base off. 2 bases so far for Exakick. Comp's coming out of base. Szygenda is going to probably Gnar relevant here just to get the damage, but he doesn't want to knock him back because he'll lose the trade when he comes out of the form.
Yep.
So my eyes are on Herald. Lissandra Lee Sin level 6. Rakan will probably have first move to Herald because he's cancelled DOS's bases twice now. Maybe he can get it 3 times.
Pulled back under tower, though. Still shouldn't be too much of a concern while no one else is in the area to really punish here.
He's going for the solo kill there. DOS isn't he? Drops the Ignite, but that's important because he chunks him out and he knows that the Rakan wants to move topside for Herald and he knows he won't be able to base and get there in time. So if he makes Trymbi really low, he has to base.
Still hovering. Still canceling the base there. Comp using the cleanse immediately. Level 6 on Comp. Proccing the vitals as well. DOS relatively low, but he's getting shattered. Exakick now going for another kill. Exakick absolutely popping off at Trymbi. He can't do anything. An instant double.
SK bot lane just showing us again how strong they are. Larssen's here, no summoners on Exakick. DOS, I think the play
Level
for DOS
6
here is try to get out. Are they going to try and defend?
No, just walk the other way. Wait for the lantern.
I think
you can space this out.
Larssen
There's
can
no
just
right choice.
Exakick. Oh, the lantern, he's out!
That's genius!
Uses the ult to make sure that he can get out before Larssen can buffer the ult. Really well played from the bot lane of SK. That was just a perfect dance in the 2v2 and the exit.
Calm, cool, collected under pressure. They split perfectly. Lissandra has to pick one target and picks the Xayah. Thinks they have an angle. Maybe you can get the kill, but ulti comes out into the lantern. Clean escape. Very well played. Crushing.
They want to fight here, though.
Koi.
Koi undone. They know that Herald's being taken. There's a ward in the pit, so they know it's being pulled out. They have to reset, and of course, the Herald changes means that it won't leash. See, it runs back really quick, goes back to full HP. Koi can't keep the leash up. But yeah, already off to a great start. You can see the bot lane of SK, 1.2k gold up in total. And that was even before DOS got his first base off. I think Trymbi was a little bit greedy on staying. Comp was walking up too far. Larssen should be alright. Oh, he didn't take the E? Hang on a second. Why didn't Larssen take that E? Maybe Exakick can start to threaten something here. Has the lethal tempo, but not enough damage. With that Catalyst, a little bit of health. Larssen's tanky enough. We'll see it again. Trymbi staying here, he wants the base, but Comp has to cleanse. But then Trymbi thinks, well, Exakick's level 5. If we just focus the Xayah once the Thresh has been pushed back, we can win. But the damage is just so high, bursted, then flashes away from the knockup from Rakan, cleanses the Ignite. DOS flashes forwards to Flay, so Trymbi can't flash and escape. Well executed. Exakick pushes the way, it gets level 6, and then here we see the beauty of the Lantern ult buffer.
Yep. Absolutely just a clean play. Again, splitting up, so Lissandra has to pick a single target. Wants to go for the Xayah. Easy kill, easy shutdown. And pull out because the fights are continuing to happen. Exakick, no ultimate. Immediate shutdown on the bottom side. Super clean gank coming in from Malrang. Gets the kill over to Comp.
Yeah, gets Comp back in it. See if he can get these next couple of waves in as well. But good play. I'm not sure how the setup happened there, but they managed to pull it off. Larssen trying to get this mid push in. Has obviously got 5 points in Q now on level 9, so it makes it a little bit easier.
But as thrilling as this mid lane matchup is, we talked a lot about it, and it was partially unlocking mid now to go play through the bottom side. Both these bot laners, core carries for their team, not always reflected in the numbers that we've seen so far this spring, but when you think of both of these teams, you know that they can and have very successfully played a bot-centric game. That has been the story of this game. The first 2 kills, honestly an outplay on the side of SK, or a misplay on the side of Koi. The follow-up from Malrang, though, I think an excellent read on the situation bot side to kind of bring Comp back into this game.
And the desk highlighted it really well when it comes to SK. This split so far, it's been more about irrelevant actually.
Yeah.
But showing what they found success in winter is playing around this bot side, and as much as it was in the 2v2, putting irrelevant on Sion basically gives that away from draft. So we'll see if Markoon can start to help out his bot lane, who is winning, still up in gold, still will get the push. Getting close to those mythics. Blue buff passed over to Larssen, 1 minute on the next dragon. Herald in Markoon's back pocket as well if he wants to start threatening that bot tower. And it's just a dance of bot side river vision right now. Trymbi trying to spot out Markoon where he can. Malrang mostly will look for lane ganks, I think. It's really hard for him to just set up through river and kick against Thresh.
Yeah. Trymbi gonna be happy if he can just catch this wave, however. He just needs to tick over to level 6 before they can really get anything kicked off here. Irrelevant doing well on the top side of the map, only down 7 CS, really not losing out too much, only 200 gold in the favor of the Gnar early in the game. So overall, despite early action, despite trades back and forth in the bottom lane specifically, pretty much dead even. The biggest difference is going to be the Herald, which will turn into about 300, 600 more gold. And now, fight kicking off, immediate chain CC, pushback from Sertuss, coming in just in time. Malrang not quite able to finish the job, and Markoon getting kicked back into Sertuss. It's almost a disaster, but he does not connect.
A little bit of a mistake from Malrang. When we see the replay, I'll explain what he tried to do there, but he messed it up just slightly on the angle. But big kill there for SK. They actually have the losing mid-jungle 2v2, but punishing the mistake from Koi. Quick to react there, Markoon manages to get a kill onto the Azir. That's going to sting. No ult on the Lissandra either. Can look for this plate if he wants to here, Larssen, but needs to be careful not to get chunked out too much.
Being forward, though, means he doesn't really have a good way out, but of course has a big health advantage at this particular moment in time.
Yeah.
Sertuss not going to continue to trade. Larssen still has flash, so wouldn't be a good deal. As on the top side of the map, you're going to be getting a lot of work done, but mostly just focused on clearing out the wave. No jungler to start the dive.
If we get a slow-mo here on the Lee Sin, I'm not sure if we can, but what he tries to do is he hits the Q and then he tries to ward jump to the side, baiting Sertuss. He's going to Q, but he's actually ward jumping. So if he ward jumps a bit more to the left, he can dodge the pushback, and then he has enough gap close to actually burst him with QR.
Yep.
But instead, he actually gets pushed back on the W, which gives Sertuss enough time to react. So a bit of a mistake from Malrang, not having the right angle on the pushback from the Azir ult.
And that's going to hurt. Just makes it that much easier for the Azir. Again, Lissandra is a champion who we really know wants to take over in the mid game, and despite having a bit more presence on the map, it's now dead even in gold. And Markoon's starting to build up a bit of a lead in the jungle overall. And we know how the Wukong scales. It's going to be much easier for the Wukong to impact these team fights, skirmishes as we get later and later into the game.
SK very happy with this. They just want to play team fights, yeah. It's on Koi to start getting some more leads. The Lissandra plays haven't been going in their favor. First on bots, now in mid. Herald still for Markoon. Where is he going to put it? I think placing it mid would be great, but you can see Malrang and Trymbi reading the play because Comp will get bot push. And they have bot side vision. I think they're a bit wary as to where Markoon will place it. You're always on your toes when the enemy team has Herald, ready to defend the tower, ready to defend the play as to where they place it. Play things down in 30 seconds. They see Markoon running bot, so now they'll pivot towards bot side, likely to try and stop it.
I just try to overload mid here.
Oh, they're going to go mid,
A lot of potential setup here, just immediately going to lock him down. There's surely no way out of this for the Azir. Sertuss gets the pushback, but he will not get the dash out to safety. Clean kill in the mid lane for Koi.
Now they're going to run bots here, try to defend this Herald. I don't think SK can get the entire tower in time. There's no Rakan ult, no Lissandra ult, but they still have the kick. Needs to be careful if they overcommit. Doss is playing Lantern, making sure his team is safe.
Backing up, they want to finish this tower.
They do, but it's there on a numbers disadvantage. They really want to commit to this. Larssen's still mid, actually, so it is a 3v3.
I think Trymbi kind of faking there as Malrang backs away. They do, of course, have the ward in the brush, so they'll spot that out.
I think they can walk up and get it now, you know. No playthings, that's just 2 hits, tower down. Yeah, nothing they can really do, Koi. First tower over to SK. Mythic advantage on Exakick. 6.5k gold right now.
Yeah, and this is massive for the side of SK because, again, now if they have these kind of leads, if they're able to push out in lanes and get it set up first, Xayah and Azir absolutely not champions that you want to be fighting into. Snowballing them at this stage is going to make team fighting so much easier, or skirmishing around the next Herald as it is about 2 minutes out.
See how they set up. Lanes kind of get a bit... They shift up a lot when the first tower falls, especially on mid-bot side. You normally see bot lane go mid lane go side, and then it's all about mid-push. Sertuss going to solo out the blue buff here. TP mid from Larssen. I wonder why they're investing this TP mid. Comp's close enough to catch the wave that they're not really under threat of losing a tower. Maybe they think they want to force top. They probably have a 0 timer of flash in their head, and they want to set up on top side. So what they're going to do here is probably look to dive the Azir. SK need to respond quickly. They should know that Larssen TP'd back, and they want to force this really, really hard. Is Sertuss aware of the play? Are they checking?
He has stopwatch.
Koi's
ulti
pace.
8 seconds.
Yeah.
Ulti's going to be big here.
SK no. SK no. He's going to get out, but they're going to get a little bit of vision here. Koi trying to group up. Malrang's going to go to Krugs, and now they will swap them with Lissandra onto side lane. So attempt of a fast play there from Larssen. Didn't work.
Going in. Hitting Trymbi is big. The instant chain CC knocked up before he can dash out to safety. He has one more dash. Ticking, burning. Goes golden, but now irrelevant. Just gets the free fall. Malrang is going to kick him over the wall. No, the W taking him, but it does not matter. The decimating smash over the wall from Irrelevant is just too precise.
I think he had the flash W there, but he decides to W. A little bit greedy. Nice Q from Irrelevant. Now Koi trying to set up on the Azir. Flash just came up now. No, it's actually 10 seconds away. Ward's going to spot them out. Sertuss playing really well on this side, playing very defensive. Exakick's going to get another tower. That's 2 towers over to SK. They'll eventually swap the pressure up the top side. Koi running out of options.
A over the wall.
Over-forcing a
Scouting.
bit. Yeah, they saw him.
But you can see that they're desperate to get something done. They really want to find a lead in this mid game. Their 2K difference between these teams is almost entirely on the bottom side of the map for Exakick. They might get some gold back here if Szygenda can take this tower, but falling behind in the mid game like this, not ideal, because again, when it comes to simple, clean execution and planning, SK have a composition that makes the late game easy for them, whereas Koi are going to need Fog of War. They're going to need flanking vision if they want to find this setup.
Malrang's gonna kick him here, maybe.
Kick back, push back, traded. Larssen now going in. Sertuss can't get taken down. Markoon now spinning, desperate to get his mid laner out of there, but it's too little too late now. Frozen Thrall moving in. Knock up coming through to deny anything else. Markoon going in. Markoon looking for the Mar touch. Markoon still standing against the red buff. He's healing. Larssen gonna get one back, but he's gonna cost him his life. Markoon making the outplay happen.
2 for 2. Markoon just held his ult as long as he could, knowing Malrang would queue back in, knocks him up on the damage so he can trade back. And Larssen had to commit to kill the Wukong because the Thresh Xayah were right behind him. He had no way to escape, so can't really fault him for committing to that. So 2 for 2. You can see how favored it is for the Lee Sin and Lissandra. That's underneath the tower at a gold disadvantage on jungle that they're actually able to win it. Szygenda's been sitting bot this whole time. He's got a bot tier 1. Irrelevant was hovering on the top side. Without TP, he thought maybe a 4v4 would kick off. He wants to be ready to respond. And Szygenda with the TP advantage means it was a little bit of a hard decision for him to make. Now he's looking to try and stop his base to help them get a little bit of tempo on this bot side, but he's going to give the wave over to the Azir.
Spotting him out.
Found him.
Finding the cancel. Knockup is there. Black Cleaver plus the proc movement speed should just take him out to safety. Leaping over the wall, irrelevant. There's a wall there.
There is a wall there, indeed. Sertuss TP is up, so wanted to catch that big bot wave. Good guy, Irrelevant, you know? I don't care about my CSD stats. That's a massive wave bot. The Azir is my carry. You can have it.
I mean, it's really just get you a top laner who can do both. You said it yourself. The desk was talking about Irrelevant. We've been talking about Irrelevant this whole season. It has been a standout, you know, individual performances, but he's given us some of that winter flavor that we got, where he's just on the top side,
Right
tanking,
top.
engaged now coming in. Dot's gonna be the focus. So easy to kill this Thresh. Trymbi now fishing for a little bit more. Szygenda zooming forward, running as fast as he can. Desperate to get Markoon knocked back to the wall. That's the Gnar, that's the follow-up, and the kill shutdown for Koi is huge.
SK over forcing a bit there. Koi quick to punish. They wanted to get that top tier 1 with the Herald that they just picked up, but they're ready to respond, and Thresh really struggles against this much hard engage. If he's the front line, then he's as good as gone in a couple of seconds. He needs to be the one that's playing the Lantern, but with Sion on the other side of the map, he has to be the front line. He has to step up and threaten the hook to push them back to get the tower. Ends up costing his life. See if they get this mid tower here. He needs to be careful of a shuffle, but Comp, just one quick auto attack. That'll make it easy.
Now top side, Exakick. Still stepping forward, but it's level 13 to level 10. Really only Larssen not having cooldowns is the difference there.
So here, they're going to place the Herald down to try to force the entire tower. Maybe they didn't expect Koi's bot lane to be here and they were going towards mid, because what happens is DOS steps up for a hook and then boom, all of a sudden there's 2 members from the bot side. There's a TP coming in, regrets that decision instantly. Everyone has to evacuate. And all the meanwhile, Malrang's getting the dragon, so they're winning on both sides of the map. Yes, they lost the Herald for it, but they defended the play with the Herald. Good presence of mind from Szygenda to make sure they can get the second kill. And all they lost for it was a little bit of creeps in mid, you can see on the minimap there.
Meantime, Malrang taking the dragon as well. So Koi, despite starting to fall behind, found an avenue on the top side of the map to really bring themselves back into the game. Now up a Drake and only down 600 gold, which is a pretty insignificant amount at this stage of the game. We'll check itemization, which is going to be a little bit more significant. But DOS opting for additional movement speed in the form of the Shirelias means he's still a very vulnerable target, but is just going to rely on essentially better movement or additional movement speed to get away from some of these engaged threats next time around. And Szygenda now running. Sion running faster.
No flash. Gets slowed.
Nice input buffer on the hop. Is able to make it out to safety. Dashing away, but there's just no way out of this one. He's going to try. It will not happen. Shut down there.
So that's a cross map. They knew that Koi was pressuring the top side. Markoon looks for a fast play on bot. You know, they can't really respond up here. The Lissandra is a bit too strong at the moment. Let's try something on the other side of the map. Szygenda, no flash. A little bit too far forwards. And the blue smite jungle item. This is why it's so powerful on champions like Wukong, because he actually just ran through those bushes so quickly. Managed to gap close onto Szygenda. Comp will catch that wave. Make sure they're not bleeding any creeps. Now, the problem with this is they could rush Nash here. This is a situation where SK can just run straight to Baron and you're going to lose it because they have Azir, they have Xayah. Comp is going to regret this decision in the next couple of seconds. We'll see if they can get here in time. Malrang's just coming out of base gates. Trymbi has the wards to place down. They're going to full commit to this. 9k on the burn.
Super fast.
They have to full commit on the burn. Sertuss might have to jump out of the pit to push Malrang away if he's going to get in range. Malrang should be able to get here in time. The question is, do they push him back? Do they push him back?
Getting lower.
Are they going to risk the 50-50? How much time do they have? They're pushing Malrang away. Now they want to burn it down off to the backside. It's Trymbi, but they've got no options left. Sertuss versus Malrang. He's going to lose the 1v1, but he secures his team, the Baron.
It's worth it.
The rest of Koi now descending. Sertuss going to buy as much time as he can. He will go down, but the cost of 1 life in exchange for a Baron 21 minutes into the game is a damn good deal for the side of SK.
Really, really worth it. I mean, on paper, Comp will see this massive bot wave and think, I need to pick that up. And he does go for it. Big punish by SK to commit the TPs. They play it really well. You know, they put wards over the pit. They're patient. They wait to see where the Lee Sin is, and then the pushback from Sertuss is great. The flash from Malrang here could have been a bit better, because what he does here is he flashes, but he flashes far enough forwards that he still gets pushed back. Maybe a little bit more to the side, and he could have got the Q across. But either way, Sertuss for Baron. Always gonna be worth it. We'll see how SK can set up the rest of the map with this Baron buff.
Yeah. One of the big strengths of Azir, despite taking some hits, obviously can shred through objectives still. Xayah as well with this Navori build just murders the Baron, something that Koi clearly had not respected enough. Is
Ooh, Szygenda. No flash yet.
Level 14. Doesn't have that Triforce finished yet.
He has to run into the Wukong or something, doesn't he? This is really complicated. I think he might just be dead unless he can push back.
Bit of a whiffy there. Wall up now, leaping out to safety. Gale Force forward. The root's going to connect. That is one dead Gnar in the side lane. SK consistently punishing Szygenda for overextending. Larssen now coming in.
No TP on Irrelevant. They need to be careful here.
So much CC, so much immediate damage, but the cleanse already coming out. The feathers are flying. The feathers are going to get pulled right back. Larssen holding on for now. The E over the wall. The timing not quite right on the Zhonya's. Escaping, but burning so many resources. Sertuss! Oh, he's behind enemy lines! That is not where you want to be! That man misread the situation.
Need to keep chasing here. Koi, Q lands on the DOS.
Waiting for Flay. Flay back, not going to be enough.
No flash on
now going in. Markoon. Waiting on the clone, I think. Doesn't have the cooldown. It's just going to get shredded. Is going to get taken out. Tries to dash out to safety. The healing will not be enough. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it is just the Sion pushing in.
SK, they had Baron buffs. They had 4 of them. And they committed for a pick. The pick was great, but your Sion doesn't have TP, so you can't go further than the pick. You have to play on waves. Irrelevant will get this mid-tier too, yes, but you just lost 3 of your members for that. Exakick's going to go up towards the top side, try to get some vision, get some waves in, but big mistake there, big blunder. When you have Baron, you really want to avoid fights. You can see on the top left there, SK's Baron buff, minus 130, minus 200 gold. It's backfired.
Absolutely has. And if we look back 6-7 minutes ago, it was a 2k individual gold lead for Exakick, and SK were 2k gold ahead overall. Now they're dead even in gold. They've essentially thrown away their Baron buff. We're back to dead even, and Larssen is now wildly far ahead individually, which is a big threat in the coming exchanges.
Yeah, the pick is good. I think picking off Szygenda here, no flash, pushing that bot wave, but look how far away that bot wave is. Then you really need to get this pick, get back to bot, push in the waves, and let the Sion push top. The problem is, once they get the kill, they don't go to the wave. They just kind of walk into the jungle, Irrelevant, no TP. And then Sertuss here, you can't really fault him. He sees a fight, he TP's in. But the problem is, you're all running away, so he's stuck behind enemy lines, and then he ends up falling. The rest of SK fall as well.
Oh no, it's a must just be colossal miscommunication. DOS's Lantern was there, but DOS kept walking. Regardless, we can see that SK clearly had a different plan in their mind to what was actually happening. As they get taken out here, down in the picture-in-picture, you can see contesting, looking for setup, big hook onto Trymbi, follow-up, pushback is there. They take the Rakan out of the equation. Excellent for the side of SK. They can now even up the Drakes.
Should be easy. Koi don't even want to contest this. They just need to pressure the top side. Every time the enemy team has tempo or numbers advance from one side of the map, you have to do something on the other side. So Larssen's just going to push top. Comp's going to take out red buff. Malrang can just clear through his camps. No wards to really place down. Nothing to really overforce. And yeah, big pick for SK. That's the power of the Thresh. Hook hits. If you can just push him back with the Azir or something like that, you can get that single kill, then you can control the rest of the fight.
Yeah, and you can just see the roller coaster that this game has been in terms of goal difference there at the bottom of your screen. But of course, I also just want to talk about this matchup overall, and this is a huge credit to SK. They're neck and neck with Koi, and if we had said this last year, you would never have believed me. Koi were the kings of best of one. Now we're seeing SK really fighting with fire, fighting on even footing for the most part. But that said, I feel like Koi starting to get the better of them in these plays, whereas at the start of the game, it was Koi making so many mistakes, Koi getting punished, Koi getting outplayed. It's now SK, I think, getting a bit over-aggressive, a bit overconfident.
Yeah, they need to calm down a little bit, have a bit more patience, especially when you have things like the Baron and you can avoid fights and play more on waves. They need to make sure they don't get, you know, too overconfident, too cocky on these plays, because yes, you are ahead, but you outscale them. There's no need to take these skirmishes in certain parts of the map. You need to play with numbers. Exakick's in a base here. See if he gets towards that Bloodthirster.
Yeah.
See what he picks up, actually. Must be close. He's going to sell the dagger. Wonder if he has the Bloodthirster. Yep, he does. So 3 items Xayah. Comp has the Renans. 1,000 gold shutdown. He's just recovered throughout this entire game. Gold dead even. Dragons dead even. Knight's Vow on Malrang. That's an old school throwback.
Who did he vow? Observers, let us know. Who's he going to vow?
We will find out as we cycle through the champions. Maybe someone like Comp would be an easy one.
I'll just say that I don't think Kai'Sa is a queen, so I don't... She's a queen, don't get me wrong, but she's not like a literal queen, so I don't know how she would knight someone. So just a lore question for the balance or design team. Trying to figure that one out.
Yeah, we'll reflect some damage back to the Lee Sin, so it will help them in terms of, you know, damage from SK onto the carries. But game slowing down. 30 seconds on this Baron respawn. Koi want to control this top side. They want to play through the Lissandra Lee Sin. Look for the Azir. Look to make sure that they can find a pick first. And that's exactly what they're doing. Level 16, they're going to jump over the wall, try to be sneaky, try to find their way into this top side jungle.
And when we talk about a perfect front to back, we can say that SK are favored.
Trying to punish it though.
But a perfectly executed combo coming in from Koi can be devastating. They're now on the run, however. Sion unstoppable. There's not a lot of room for Larssen to go. They're not going to get hit by the initial stun now, fishing for the knock of Larssen. Is he going to have enough time to ult himself in this exchange, waiting as long as possible? He knows he will die if he ults himself. He'll be easy pickings. So they will just back away, holding on to most of their relevant cooldowns. 4 seconds on Larssen's TP as well.
SK should know the TP's up. There's no risk in... There's a lot of risk, sorry, in starting this Baron. There's no reason to do it. Koi, quick to respond. Looking for those plays, and Irrelevant's just TPing up there to make sure that they're safe on this top side of the map. Sion doesn't want to go bot, and Szygenda can't threaten the tier 3, so it's just a standoff ARAM basically, a vision control. Every time someone gets chunked out, they need to reset. DOS needs to reset for wards. Lots of creeps being bled out here on the bot side of the map, but Irrelevant's uses TP, so if you put Sertuss down there, it becomes a lot more complicated to start pushing Koi back. You've lost one of your carries. Comp's gonna get the mid-wave in. I think Koi have a good option here to look for a Baron Force. Try to start it, maybe have Szygenda and Malrang stack up the Mega Gnar, look for a turn. But they don't have to rush things. Comp looks like he wants to take a base, actually. I wonder what he's going to go back to base for to buy. Ignite on Larssen. Who's going to make the mistake first? Who's going to make the engage first?
Level 16 Larssen, 3 items, has the death cap. If he can find a squishy target, if he can reset with the Lissandra passive, it gets so hard for SK to play these fights. But again, when you see Lissandra Gnar, you know what the ceiling looks like for teamfight execution. It's hitting 4 or 5 people, winning the fight with 2 buttons. R from Gnar, R from Lissandra, easy peasy. But again, if you fumble, if you misstep, Azir, Xayah, that is a ruthless backline to play against. They punish so incredibly well.
It is. It is indeed. Vision control. Looks like he's picked up the baby last whisper. Comp needs it to get through this Sion. Not full armor, of course. Normally we see comps full AD into the Sion. At least this time they have something like the Lissandra, and the Kai'Sa is hybrid in a sense as well.
Yep.
So should burn through him. 50 seconds on the next dragon. Not that important. Puts you on soul point, yes, but a Baron is always a worth trade, so Koi will just keep topside control. They could have Szygenda solo out the dragon. Push out top here, take a base, solo Drake. But I think Koi are the ones who will pull the trigger first.
Larssen.
They're the ones who can start up this objective and look for the turn.
Waiting for darkness. Trying to fish for the jungler. Immediately just gets deleted. Larssen pushes R, Comp pushes R, and that's all she wrote. So trade it back for Trymbi, but that is not a good trade for the side of SK.
Does stop Koi in their tracks. It makes it so starting up Baron becomes a lot harder because you are in a 4v4. Irrelevant can force his way in here. You did just invest the Lissandra and the Kai'Sa ultimate there, so SK are aware of it. Your single target damage is just dropped, and they can afford to walk up and start face checking here. But that's the power of Koi's comp. If they could progress the fight from there, they would take over. But they weren't in a position to. SK were too far back. 8 seconds on the dragon. The easy objective here for SK is to start it up. They need to be careful here. Hook hits Szygenda. Lantern in.
Still going to go forward. Sertuss fishing for it, but Comp clean flash backwards, and now Sertuss is in no man's lane. He's got no protection left. He goes golden, buys a brief moment. It's Larssen. Larssen on the flank. Keep your eyes on Lissandra. It's going to be big. Exakick flashing back. Szygenda getting kicked back into the team. SK, it is all falling apart. Another member will drop, and Koi take the fight.
They should take the Baron as well. They could even maybe look for 2 objectives here. They could go to Dragon together first and then back up towards the Baron. They have 40 seconds to work with on this side. There's no reason to give anything over to SK. DOS is going to have to flash over the wall. Larssen has a blue orb there. He sees the jungle support of SK. But the carries just got so exposed in that fight. Sertuss just trying to shuffle a Kai'Sa with ult and flash up, going way too deep. And the next kick gets kicked. Really well played by Malrang, so they can secure both neutral objectives. And now the game has been blown wide open.
Sertuss just a bit over-eager this game, I think it's safe to say. Has been really trying hard to force some of these plays, and they've just been consistently not working out in his favor. And I get it, you want to go for the shuffle there, but I feel like once you're past 2 items on Azir, the shuffle time of the game is mostly over.
It's a game of chicken, and you're playing a game of chicken against one of the best AD carries in Europe, right? So he's going to react. If he doesn't react, granted, maybe you get a kill there, but very, very risky, especially on a champion like Azir. But let's look at it again, because they're playing Thresh. We talked about Thresh as a pick comp champion, but you're pulling in an Azir here. I think DOS's idea is to chunk out the Gnar and then back away, maybe push the Gnar with the knock. But Sertuss commits really, really deep. Comp chunks him out to 1 HP, and let's look at Szygenda here. This buffer timer on his Q repositions, seeing the Zhonya's, evolves into Mega, and just boulders him on the last tick of the knock-up to make sure he can get the kill. Then X kicks way too far forwards. Malrang gets a perfect positioning. He flashes away here, but kick flash is beautiful. Onto comp. Both carries are down. SK have to run.
Such a well-executed fight by the side of Koi. Of course, they're kind of just open arms, letting SK run into them, but still, clean kick flash from Malrang, really making sure they can complete the punish there. Now, Exakick and Sertuss have to be careful, but this time Markoon and Irrelevant are there to cover. SK still have breaking points, though. No Rabadons on this Azir yet. That's something they're going to work towards. Dominic's on Xayah would also be a really nice pickup if they can get towards it. So SK aren't out of the game yet. The timer is still ticking for them to get stronger and stronger and stronger, but this is Koi's game now with this Baron. They're going to engage here. I think they're trying to dissuade the push. A little bit of fake pressure here from SK. They don't actually want to fight. They just want to make Koi a little bit hesitant to walk up to this tower, buy some time. No. Minute and 50 left on the Baron. So just burning resources to kind of take this time away from Koi to stop Koi from potentially breaking open the base. Koi are at 3 dragons. They're on soul point. In 3 minutes, they can't aim for the mountain, and that'll feel pretty much like GG, but Larsen's ready to come over the wall immediately to try to lock down Exakick. Clan's now coming out holding weight. Has the pullback, can now just pull them back to Larssen, but he doesn't time it right. No, Larssen has the extra stopwatch.
Yeah, that's it. It's the extra stopwatch, the extra stasis, stop the pullback, the roots, but the hook.
There's no follow-up. They're not going to risk it this time. They're not going to flip it.
A lot of pings on this bot wave here. Koi could go top to mid to bot here and start threatening a tier 3 after this mid wave crashes. Malrang's maybe going to hover down there. Loads of pings from Koi on this bot wave. They really want to buff it up. This would be a great shift from all 3 lanes if they can threaten that. But they don't have the Lissandra ult. Larssen doesn't have the TP either. So as much as this bot wave might be stacked up and Malrang's pushing it in, I'm not sure if they can threaten the tower with it just yet. Larssen
has to be careful here. Ying out safety.
Malrang split pushing.
Comp. Going forward and Irrelevant. Irrelevant shouldn't have enough damage on his own to take this matchup. Is still stepping forward, though. Still trying to zone, but I think he's realizing this is not a matchup that you win. Immediate ult forward, Lantern out to safety, but he still goes down.
Yep.
Comp says, round 2, baby!
I think that was a Kraken auto attack. All the meanwhile, Malrang's been split pushing bot. The 2 cannons, are they hitting the inhibitor? They are. 2 more shots. No, they drop aggro onto this tower, but I think they can pick 3 inhibs up here.
And Koi are just picking SK apart. SK cannot find a fight. They are so desperate to get a 5v5 to find any angle to punish the cooldowns that are down on the side of Koi. But now Larsen's ult is back up. They can just re-engage. They can just fish for more. They're not going to follow up onto Larssen. Ying into the middle of the team. Will not follow up. Will not take it. They've got inhibitors down. They don't need to overforce. Yeah. They don't need to risk anything. Koi have this game in the bag if they can take a breath, slow down, and breathe.
2 cannons. They can wait, but they can try to threaten an end. 15 seconds on the Sion. They need to dive if they want to do that, but you're diving into a level 17 Azir, level 16 Xayah. It's risky. The call here, I think, is just to back off, wait for the inhibs, wait for the super creeps, and start the siege in around 30 seconds to a minute's time. They have a soul points coming up as well. There's no need to throw it all away here. If they all die and they lose control, there's so much gold going into SK from these creeps, and they can set up around the dragon. So playing it safe, playing it smart. DOS knows that, and he's looking for a pick again, but wrong bush.
Yeah. And the big struggle is with 3 points of guaranteed pressure now, with so many supers barreling down each lane. SK are just not going to ever get to fight on their terms. They're not going to get to be first to objectives. Every choice they make is going to be a gamble where losing means losing the game. And that's just not a situation where their comp is going to be favored whatsoever. You don't have vision anymore? Wow. Can you imagine a better situation for Lissandra and Lee Sin?
Yeah.
It's miserable. It would take a miracle in the form of Koi absolutely sprinting it for SK to take this one back.
You're walking into hell, really, aren't you? Trymbi's putting the wards down. Larssen has the TP. I'm interested, actually, to see what Larssen does, because he's actually on the top side of the map right now. He has TP, yes, but I think he's going to threaten some kind of end if they go towards the dragon. It's good to have that extra pressure point. If they 4-man, 5-man towards this Drake, and you have 2 super creeps, you can start pushing in. Szygenda can TP in. Boom, the game is over. So they're playing a bit of push and pull here, Koi.
I think if you commit 5 members to the Drake, it's easy for SK to respond. Yes, they risk a little bit if Larssen TP's in, but they know that there's nothing to be worried about. As long as Larssen is here, he's going to force at least 1 or 2 members to respond to him, and it means that SK never have the safety to walk into the jungle, to contest this objective.
They're leaving their options open. Koi have many plays here. It just depends on what SK does, and SK are going to do nothing. They're just going to stand still, and I think that's the best call. Sometimes the best call is to do nothing, and SK can't walk in here. They can't really make a pick onto Larssen, and they can't leave their base. So now here, the siege will start now. Larssen will pull this top wave in. Actually, just going to TP. They're just going to go 5-man mid, wait for these waves to come in. They will have to threaten the dive onto this comp of SK. Looking for a pick here, SK as well, but Vision's there. Koi stacked up, and once these waves start pushing in, It's going to be really hard for SK to clear it. The best thing they can do is try to engage, and in my eyes are on Irrelevant.
Hook landing, trying to lock Szygenda. Szygenda leaping out to safety. Shirelli is now used. Small cooldowns being burned. SK, coordination has not been flawless in this mid to late game, but they need to find that coordination now. They need to play perfectly together if they want to hold on.
Lissandra.
Every time he E's, SK have to back up. They have to be ready for him to commit. They have to be ready for him to go in.
I think Koi are waiting for the Mega. They're going to wait for Szygenda to get that Gnar bar back up, and then they can commit with Rakan Flash. They can commit with Lissandra. Hook connects, but can they follow up? A little bit of chunk always helps. SK are holding on pretty nicely. Sion is here, but here comes the Mega. Slowly building up.
Szygenda off to the side, Exakick isolated, but they're burning through the towers. Larssen in the midst of the entire team now. It's an excellent ult to get things kicked off. Exakick now leaping backwards, but he's not ready to protect Szygenda, and Malrang tag teaming onto Exakick, looking to shut this AD carry down and take him out of the game. Koi, a clean finish. Calm, controlled, collected in the late game to bring this win home as they tie SK up at 3-2 after they take some time in the base.
Gotta farm no stats, don't they? Good execution from Koi. Didn't really need the Mega towards the end. It's just Lissandra, Rakan. It's just way too much piled on top of SK. As much as their comp was slowly getting to the right timers and slowly getting to the items, they had lost too much before that began.
Yeah, and I think credit to Koi again. We saw SK build up a pretty decent advantage with their bot laner, but really good at finding these picks, really good at punishing SK for overstaying their welcome. SK finding Szygenda on a side lane multiple times this game. The second time they're able to do it, they overstay their welcome. They burn their Baron buffs, and everything kind of falls apart. And Koi are a team that you cannot afford to give advantages back to. If you give them a lead, they're going to play well with it. You can't just take risks like that.
And I like it when Koi have tools to win the game. Rakan, Lissandra, Lee Sin, these playmakers in the mid to late game where you can actually start forcing these advantages. You know, when they set up around that Baron and they picked off Markoon on the Wukong, these are the kind of things I like to see teams play. Proactivity is key. Just gives you so many more options in the game. You don't really feel like your back is against the wall and you're waiting for certain spikes.
And I like Koi with a single hyper carry in the bot lane and more utility, more roaming in the mid lane for Larssen. I think we've seen various additions of Koi. We've seen the Azir plus another carry on the bottom side plus the Lucian. But I like this scaling in the form of the Kai'Sa with the proactive Lissandra today. I liked the Twisted Fate yesterday. I think this is a very good look for Koi in the regular season thus far. Of course, for this game specifically, at LEC on Twitter, you can vote for Malrang, Larssen, and Comp as your player of the game. Malrang had some really good kick flashes, but he also had some awkward flashes to the side. You were very critical of his angles this game.
On the mid lane angle, yeah.
His trigonometry.
His trigonometry.
Not up to snuff.
The A squared, B squared stuff, whatever's going on there. But Comp struggled in the laning phase with Trymbi a bit. They got 2v2 killed, but then they recovered. Malrang was the one who brought them back into it. And Larssen was just consistently someone that you can lean towards in the lane to actually make something happen. You know, he's always got that ult up. You can always come mid. You can always come on his side lane and he'll do something for you.
Yeah. Overall, again, credit to Koi for bringing it back, and love seeing both these teams go head-to-head. For now, let's send it back over to the analyst desk to see what they have to say about that particular game.
Thank you, Drakos. Back to this side of the studio with a Koi win here on the Rift. And it wasn't an easy one, Ender, especially when you look at the early stages of the game. We talked about this in the pre-match and the fact that we could see some action on the bot lane. It didn't go so well for Comp and Trymbi, but they recovered later on.
They were able to. It was interesting because a few different times, like in bot lane and in mid lane, Koi lost a trade or lost a fight, and then Malrang shows up immediately like a minute and a half later and instantly is able to trade it back. This whole sequence was kind of funky because Trymbi is, I think, trying to find DOS here, gets hooked underneath the tower. DOS actually early ignites, which I think is maybe a little bit suspect. But then they think they have a 2v2 potential here. Trymbi is super low, so they want to engage onto Comp. Now, Comp has ult. He cleanses away during this fight, but still has the option to maybe try and ult away, flash away from the feathers, but gets caught with both of those summoner spells still available, and the 2v2 goes horribly wrong. And yet, a minute and a half later, Malrang shows up. They're able to trade back a kill. Then a few minutes later in mid lane, Malrang, the 2v2 goes wrong, but he comes back instantly again, is able to equalize somewhat.
Maybe the man himself on the bot lane can tell us a bit more about this. Trymbi, thank you so much for joining us. Congrats on taking down SK today. We were discussing about the...
Yeah, surely. Especially from my side.
Yeah, we were discussing the early skirmishes on bot lane and what went wrong. Can you talk us through what you misplayed here and how you guys recovered afterwards?
And first of all, the big part is that I think our lane was like fine.
Yeah.
But at some point, Xayah got the base where Kai'Sa didn't. Thresh like kind of pulled off the wave, which we couldn't really like contest for. And then afterwards, I was not blocking that hook because I was like, okay, there's no way it's gonna be timed. You know, like I thought the timing is like no way it's gonna actually hit, right? So after that, it was getting rough because obviously Xayah can pressure you afterwards with the Noon Quiver, I think that was. And then we have to like look for a window to base. So I think then they did something wrong then we got the base off. But also afterwards, I kind of gave up XP so my Kai'Sa could get the level 6. And she got it, right? And there was like this fight when we fought 2v2. And like Kai'Sa didn't press R, unfortunately, I would say. And yeah, that's just kind of how it went. Because I feel like if Kai'Sa actually gets the ult off there, I feel like we're just like getting so ahead, honestly, there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a bit unlucky, and it took you guys a bit of time to come back in the game. And here I want to focus on the Baron throw from SK in the sense that they get it, but they don't utilize it the same way, and it's just giving up a lot of death here.
Yeah, it was kind of sad because like SK got this 20-minute Baron and then tried to make this pick into a side lane on Szygenda. Now, importantly, solo laners are nowhere near for SK, and they get the kill, they get the damage down, but then walk into jungle. I think Markoon wants to farm this, but you guys were making the call to go for a fight.
Yeah, we really wanted to fight. At first on Wukong, because we thought he was like, overextended, but then it turned out there was like 3 people walking in, and we really wanted to get those kills. I mean, also Azir TP'd, right? I guess they miscommunicated, because, you know, if Azir TP's there, then I guess they would like to fight, but they didn't at the end. And afterwards they can't really get out, because, we just get the ward off so we can get a TP, and it's really hard for them to do much. Like, afterwards they committed too much, and we have like quite actually good chance to chase people back.
Yeah, you're able to find 3 kills. Even though they still have Baron on a couple of members, it doesn't really matter because like they lose so much of the buff's duration that it times out and they get basically nothing off of it. And that was at a point where I felt like they were maybe not like super far ahead, but like they did have a bit of a lead, and I felt like they had a lot of pressure on the map too. And then when you don't have like a Baron to play for, and with the dragons going even, there's no soul either. It was really hard for them to like lock you guys down into a team fight, which let you sort of scale up a little bit and then win out later on.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really have an actual engage that they would like to use, right? I think there was like a fight when Azir had to like actually use flash ult to threat the Kai'Sa even, because both Sion and Wukong are not really like threatening, I would say, in a sense to what we have. And also both Lissandra and Gnar were winning, so they were like actually having like ways to push out the waves like later on, so they didn't really have any point to like catch up to outside of like mid pushing that, you know, doesn't really help much when we can just like play from sides and chill, take the fight we actually want, and they are the ones who actually need to engage, even though it feels weird because they're kind of outranging, but like they can't do much actually. They're really cool in that game.
Yeah, you guys took your time on this, getting the victory in the end, but rolling back a bit to what we were saying about Koi before the game is that we never know what to expect from you guys. We never know what kind of form we're going to get from Koi, and I see you smile here, so talk us through what's going on with Koi and the fact that even though you seem like a well-oiled machine in the sense that you know what each player is supposed to be doing, how come you guys can't get this consistency that we expect from you?
I think right now it's more about how our practice goes day by day, because I think that's the most important. I feel like this week we had good practice, I would say, and we kind of came prepared with what we want to play and how we want to play overall, and like we had like a goal in mind at the same time with actually how we want to execute the games, and that kind of works pretty much. We played the style that we were preparing for, and it suddenly works, because in scrims it looks fine. I feel like we had a good success with it, and we were like just playing well. And on stage it feels like we're doing okay. I mean, I get the Rakan, but I'm grieving. It's so hard. It's so funny actually. It's crazy. But overall it's just I get the Rakan. I can play, you know, however I want, because it's like quite a versatile champion, and then my team just picks whatever we want. It's not, you know, it's not like the draft kingdom or whatever, because it really isn't. But we just play this, and it works for now.
Yeah, I think that the game ended up being decided around the next Baron, and I think talking to like the playstyle, like incorporating like Lissandra into the comp, you guys are like looking for a pick in topside jungle, and you're able to find out Markoon, but it goes like really, really strange because you're sort of sweeping away vision. You find Markoon in the enemy jungle, but then because you also get picked off right after, it feels like SK have full control.
I agree with it completely. I should never even die there. I don't know. It's like a support brain, you know, just turning off, just getting that control ward for no reason.
DOS was out of your vision right around the corner,
Yeah,
right?
but it was pointless to even get the control. We get a free Nash, and I think we can easily contest the Drake after. But then, obviously, they kind of feel like they have to pressure because they don't have a jungler, and that's what they do. That's the team fight I talked about, right?
Yeah.
Azir has to engage in, and he's already 1 HP, and it's really hard fight for them already. But that's kind of how it seems that they have to play, because we are like, I don't know if we are that ahead at the time, but it just felt like in the game that it's not easy for them to just hit us without actually us trying to turn back due to like the tools we had in that game.
It's interesting because like I feel like they do have a lot of like disengage tools, but
They do, yeah.
They still wanted to make that play in the fog of war, right? Like
Yes.
DOS had just hit the hook on you, so he's like, oh, I want to go for another one in mid.
Wow.
But I think that Exakick was so far away from the team, and maybe they weren't all on board with that plan, like
Could be.
20 seconds in advance, and it was more of a, oh, I see a hook, let's take it.
Yeah.
And that's why the engage to me looked a little disjointed and end up really flipping.
Yeah, it could, because if they get the Gnar off there, then maybe they actually have like a fight of, you know. I mean, it's a bit bad also to fight for them in that area, because I'm spawning a bit faster than Wukong, and obviously it's closer to my Nexus, so I'll be there faster than Wukong himself. But yeah, it was like, I mean, overall, I think those, you know, he was hitting good hooks overall, and I think that he was like doing good job for his team to like actually making it playable. I would say at the end of the day, I was helping a bit too, sadly.
Just a friendly support,
Yeah.
you know?
You know, it's for the birthday.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, birthday gift, I guess. But overall, I think I'm quite happy with like how we play.
Yeah.
I don't know if like picks and everything is like correct or optimal, but we're doing good for now. And yeah, it's like better, and let's hope that we can secure that playoff spot. Because yeah, last split it was quite of a stressful period, not gonna lie.
I can imagine. But great start of the week for you guys so far. Win against G2, win against SK today. We'll see G2 right after the break. Trymbi, thank you so much for joining us today. Congrats again on the win.
Thank you.
And that's all for us here on this side of the studio. Match of the week is coming right after the break. Vitality versus G2. Stay tuned.
So canceling the base there. Comp using the cleanse immediately. Level 6 on Comp. Rocking the vitals as well. DOS relatively low, but he's just getting shattered. Exakick now going for another kill. Exakick absolutely popping off. And Trymbi, he can't do anything. An instant double.
Larsen's here, no summoners on Exakick.
Wait for the lantern. I think you can space this out.
Larssen
There's
can
no
just
right
one-shot
choice.
Exakick. Oh, the lantern, he's out!
That's genius.
I think it's good.
Look at Thresh.
I'm walking up.
Super.
Okay. Go on Wukong, no flash.
Yeah.
Can we go on Wukong?
Yeah. If you stand, I can look.
I speed up.
Okay.
Speed up.
We can chase.
Yeah, go.
Azir moving now.
You can.
Azir
get it.
flash ult.
Very nice.
Koi, a clean finish to bring this win home as they tie SK up at 3-2.
Red Bull gives you wings.